Joining us now, she's entering her 18th season as head coach of Utah, 27th overall at Utah. Of course, she's a Utah Athletics Hall of Famer. We speak with Amy Hogue, joining us here on In the Circle at D1 Softball. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. When you read all that, though, it makes me feel tired because I don't think about that till someone says it out loud. But yeah, I've been here a long time.
But I mean, you've accomplished a lot. That's why you're in the Utah Athletics Hall of Fame, which is
Thank you.
not too shabby there, Coach. So
Thank
take
you.
as an alum. Uh, let's talk a little bit before we get into this year's team. When you reflect back on last season, making that run again to the Pac-12 championship game in its final year, getting back to the NCAA tournament, getting hot at the end. What do you think of when you think of last year?
Yeah, that was a fun team. It was a lot of the same players from the year prior that went to the World Series and that won the Pac-12 tournament. So they had a lot of the same goals. And so I think they felt like they underachieved. But as a coach, I sure had a good time with them. All of them graduated. Most of them had master's degrees when they left here and they went big places. And those are all the boxes that we want to check, that they enjoyed their experience. They won a lot of games and they got their degree and they've all moved on to some new places. So obviously we returned some, but a lot of that group last year, they were in their fifth year. So yeah, we were supposed to do well and I thought we did well. We could have done a little better, but it was a fun year, a fun group of kids.
This year, you got a lot of new faces, 10 newcomers to be a fact, seven freshmen, highlighting that 10 new faces there. I know you told earlier in the fall when you did in the D1 softball fall report, you called it curious about this team. Tell me about this new group. How have they blended in the fall and as we get set here shortly for the season?
Yeah. I'm still kind of curious, until you get out there with a uniform on against somebody else, you really don't know. Our fall games, I hardly counted them this year because we were still learning names. I mean, that's a lot of new kids and a lot of things to try to figure out. A lot of them are pretty versatile, so we're still moving them in several positions and we're 3 weeks out or something. So I think that curious is the best word to use, and I'd still use it today. We have our first scrimmage today, so first live day against our pitchers, and those are the days that really start to kind of make it a little more clear who your people are going to be. So because you can train on the machine and you can do front toss as good as anybody, but until you can hit live or handle a situation in a scrimmage that we set up, you really haven't shown us what you can do to help us win games. So yeah, I'm still curious. Can't wait to see who it is that goes in that lineup, and I think we'll change it up quite a bit.
A lot of people are curious to see how you will fare in the Big 12. This is year one. It's going to be a historic year for the program. It's been a historic year for the university. What's it? Has it hit you now that you're in the Big 12? I mean, you've seen the other athletics participate as we speak in Big 12 competition. What's your thoughts here now as you and Arizona State join the league?
I don't think it has hit me. I mean, I know we booked some flights to at least Texas Tech. That's really the only new place that I haven't been to. So I really don't think it has yet. I think we have so many games that happen ahead of Big 12 play that it might be well into the season before it really hits me. I mean, budget wise and travel wise, we booked everything and had to find out where you get a hotel in Lubbock, but I mean, besides that, I don't think it's that real yet. We haven't studied those teams quite yet. So I think until we get a little closer, it really won't hit. But, in the stage of my career, I'm really excited for it. I don't know who else is, but I am. I mean, I love having a new schedule. We have three new teams coming to Salt Lake City that haven't ever played here. And I think that is an advantage to us. Our park plays a little different some others, and I think it'll be fun to have some new faces in town. So I think that'll be fun for our fans as well.
Kayla Nelson said the thing that is exciting for her is that Big 12 championships will be in Oklahoma City, a stadium you know very well from 2 years ago when you got to be there in the World Series. Have you thought about that? And but going back to that stadium where you were 2 years ago, there's probably going to bring up some memories.
Yeah, I think it's a fun place to play. Obviously, there are some on this team that played there, but there's others that'll be their first time. So, again, that is so many weeks from now that I hate to say it, but I haven't thought about that very much. I do know that we play Oklahoma State right before that tournament, so we don't even come home. We'll be in Oklahoma for a lot of days. So I do know that on paper that's a long trip and a lot of days in Oklahoma, but I think that the excitement for me comes in the joy in my players' eyes, and I think they're going to love it, so I will too.
Well, let's talk about this year's team, and I think we're going to start at the circle because that's been, it's going to be weird to go see a, box score in the circle and not see the last name Lopez there. It seems to have been synonymous with Utah softball the last few years with
Yes.
Mariah Lopez there graduating and everything. And you're very young pitching wise, so just tell us a little bit about this pitching staff and introduce us to this young staff.
Yeah, we might not have many starts or any starts out of players that we've started in the past. So we have a few innings within our staff that we've gotten, but otherwise everyone's new. We have a freshman who's getting there's been some noise, Haley Mistretti. She's a lefty, of course. We've got Paige Parker as our pitching coach, so there's no way she's going without having a lefty. So she went and got a lefty. We're pretty excited about what she does. She's a freshman, and yet she's pretty steady. I would say, she's different than Mariah, of course, as far as what she throws, but her demeanor is steady. And that's important. If you're going to put a freshman out there, they've got to be someone that can deal with pressure. And I think she does that well. We've got a transfer, actually, a Utah kid. I'm really proud of Shelby Jones. She's going to get some starts for us. She's pretty opposite of what it is that Mastretti does. So the two of them complement each other really well, and they're both really unknown. So I like both of those things, that they're different from each other and relatively unknown to the world. So that's good. She throws hard and is still learning. She's a transfer from a junior college in Salt Lake. So and Paige Parker has done wonders with her already. She's learning a lot and has such a high ceiling. And then, we return Brooklyn Carry On. Brooklyn is our leader. She's our rock. She hasn't thrown a lot of innings, and yet she could probably be an assistant pitching coach for us. She knows a lot about how it works. And so that wisdom, alongside the other two that I just talked about that are pretty new to it, it's going to be useful to have all of that. Candace, Tarl, I mean, we've got a lot of opportunities to mix it up in the circle. We just don't have a lot of experience. So, Candace spins it great. Racy's going to sit this year out. She had a surgery recently, so we don't get to use her. But, I really like some of the things we're doing. One of the people that's going to sneak up on everybody, though, and I don't even want to talk about her a lot because I don't want anyone to know about her. But Taylor Jacobs is a hitter for us and plays first base, but her movement on her drop ball is ridiculous. So she's going to be someone that's going to surprise the world, I think, probably even surprise herself a little bit and get some big outs for us. She's come in some innings, so her and Brooklyn are the only ones really with innings for us, but never started a game, neither of them. So a lot of brand new names for you to learn. So you better do your homework so that you can say some more names rather than Lopez. And, both her and Sarah Ladd. I mean, losing those two lefties who are our go-tos every day it's it's hard, and yet it's what we do. And I'm enjoying the new look of this team, and I'm excited to show you what we got.
No, that's exciting to see that young pitchers always have to develop. Somebody's got to step up, even when somebody graduates. That means it's an opportunity. So, big opportunities for a lot of you youngsters there.
Exactly. And I think they're excited for that. Brooklyn, I think the most excited because she really has been ready to have innings and the most ready. and really we might have lost her a few different times as far as transferring, waiting for her turn, and I'm happy to say it's her turn and she earned that, and we're excited to see where she takes this.
Offensively, I want to first bring up Kayla Nelson, who was fantastic. I feel was under the radar, and it was an all Pac-12 performer last year, and seems like one of your leaders on this team. That's found it with a lot of energy and passion there. Just speak to her first, and then some of your other leaders you'll be depending on this season.
Yeah. She's going to lead us with her bat. That's what she's going to do. She's just been steady. She was also a transfer. We got her from Oregon State, and she's been here a long time now. But she's always been good with her bat. It doesn't matter who we're facing, if they're up, down, throwing fast, slow. Kayla Nelson's going to square something up to make a difference in the game. And so it's just a matter of kind of securing up the lineup on both sides of her, because we know exactly what she's going to bring for us, and it's RBIs. She can't take them all, so we got to make sure and have someone behind her so if they want to pitch around her. But she's as steady as they get and can hit pretty much everything. And like I was saying, that steadiness is really important with a lot of new faces. So her being really steady is her way to lead.
With so many new faces, who are some of the other leaders you'll depend on, and what's the style? Is it more leading by example or vocal?
Yeah, I would say another leader would be Haley White and Shanti Posse. Both of them are going to start in the infield for us for sure. Right now, we're moving Haley White a little bit, second and third, but Shanti ended the year as our shortstop, and she trains hard. So she's the most prepared, I'd say, when it comes to being ready to play on both sides of both defense and offense. She's solid, and she's not flashy. So if you talk about the style of our team, she's pretty low key phenomenal. So however that looks in your mind, she's just not someone that's going to throw it in your face and say, "Hey, by the way, I'm as good as anybody in the country." She's just going to show you that she's as good as anyone in the country. So, and she's trained harder than anyone. So she's really leading the way in that. And then Haley White is a little bit like Brooklyn. They played together on the Firecrackers and have kind of waited their turn. And while they were waiting, they were training hard and being great teammates. So the teammate she is, and the effort she puts in, and the knowledge because of the years playing behind Ali Bellardi at second, and Juju Jimenez. So she's ready to go. It's her turn, and I'm excited to see, what can happen with having 2 years playing behind someone and finally getting your turn. So they might be a little overly excited, but they're just they just like playing the game. They're a bunch of little kids, so there's not a lot of stress out of the kids I've named.
You mentioned Passy playing at short. How do you feel about your defense? Because when you have so many new faces, I know sometimes defense is an area that you might get exposed with the youth sometimes. How do you see your defense in
Right.
Passy? I know,
Right.
talking to a lot of people, very high, tremendous talent at short.
Yeah. Shanti plays really well next to her friend and a fellow Hawaiian, Siani Saki. So Siani is has been playing second next to her quite a bit, and they've played together up the middle for years. So it looks natural. It looks easy. And quite honestly, between the two of them and Haley White, I think they like defense better anyway. So I don't think there's a lot of, even though they might be a new infield on paper, that's the thing they're looking the most forward to. So at least in the infield. In the outfield, we can go a lot of different directions, with who we put out there, some hitters, but we do have some returning talent out there with Shelby Ortiz, who's had a lot of days as a starter, probably be out in left. And then we have Reese Lee, who's also a defensive specialist, who's had a lot of innings in center field. So, you know, we have the two of them with um, they're great defensive players. So I think defense isn't as much of a worry for me as, maybe this rhythm and as an offense and trying to figure out how to score runs with a different style. We don't have a lot of lefty slappers and base stealers, and that's what we're used to. So I think it's more the offense that I think has a few more question marks for me and that I'm the most curious about. Haley Dieter is a transfer as well, and is going to be in our hitting lineup somewhere, and she's playing a lot of right field for us right now. But we'll find a place for her on defense because she's a pure hitter.
Are you still trying to figure out the identity of your offense? Because you mentioned some different looks, maybe not as much speed, but some more power. Is the identity still kind of been trying to figure out?
Yes, and it's very different for me. So our hitting coach, Courtney Martinez, she's a great recruiter, and the type of hitter she recruits is different than the type of hitter I used to recruit. And also, we had a lot of those that graduated last year that played 5 years. So we had 5 years with an offense that I was pretty familiar with. So even if they were lefty slappers and speed and steal and hit and run and all of that, those style players, it'd still be new faces and hard to get used to. But it isn't. It's more righties. It's more, you know, doubles, triples, home runs kind of a style. And Courtney Martinez, phenomenal hitting coach. I named her associate head alongside Paige Parker, and they're getting these kids ready. And so it may feel different for me, but I'm willing to adjust. I'm okay getting a few more home runs this year. That's fine with me.
Yeah, so, there's many ways to score runs, and Kayla Nelson spoke praise of Courtney Martinez because I asked her what was the breakthrough moment for her, when she exploded last season. She's like, Coach Martinez really helped me a lot with her philosophy there, and I'm assuming you've noticed that and picked up on that. She's regarded as one of the best hitting coaches. I know. I mean, you've been fortunate. You've had two of the best hitting coaches with DJ. Yeah, so of course he moves on to be closer to home, and you find Courtney Martinez.
Yeah, really blessed that way. And I love letting them do their thing, they're different types of coaches, the two of them. A lot of the same philosophy, but how they go about their business is very different. So someone like Kayla Nelson had to adjust to some of those things and they've done a really good job. I think one of the things that Courtney does is just detail everything out to a T and make them understand how everything works rather than DJ, who was understood himself how all of it worked, but didn't always get into the details, just demanded and was, a little louder than Courtney. Both of them teaching very similar styles, thankfully. So it was just how they presented it. And Kayla's one, and those that are really steady actually said having both was the best thing ever because both were so effective and now they've had the chance to be coached by two of the best.
She mentioned that for both, and which speaks volumes to both there, and the type of players that you have that can adapt as well as Deed, and you also have, of course, Coach Parker. Who, man, it feels like only yesterday I was watching her pitch in the World Series, winning national titles. How have you seen her development as a coach as time has gone on your staff?
She's a winner. She knows how to win with the ball in her hand. Notice my left hand was up and the ball in her pitcher's hands. And, I think the one thing that's fun to watch, the old guy in the room is saying this, watching young coaches settle, early on, actually, no matter how old you are, you're always trying to prove yourself, even to yourself, that you're good enough and that you know what you're doing. And um, for someone like her, everyone expected her to be great because she was a great player. Either way, that's a lot of pressure from other people and for yourself. And I've seen her kind of get past that a little bit. She's very confident in what she's doing and how she wants to do it. And now in who she wants to recruit and how to go get a good recruit and have them buy into what she's doing. So I've been able to sit back and watch that all play out and really proud of her. And she has grown a ton just because of that. She's settled, she's more comfortable. She used to be a little uptight, like all of us, a little bit try hard, and that should make it better. And instead, she probably just needed to remember that she's one of the best to ever do it. So try to transfer that to your athletes and help them to believe that they can be one of the best too. And she's still getting better all the time, but wow, I've gotten to see her grow up in this coaching realm. It's fun.
I've noticed that, she's been on our podcast a few times, and from the first time she ever came on a few years back to even when to compare to last season, I could sense that confidence there. Like she was showing off her personality last year, which was great to see when I got a chance to talk to her. It's always awesome to see that development. And then you got another young coach who definitely has a personality and definitely has a lot of energy. I don't think energy will be a question on your team as long as you have Coach Gibson, Kaya Gibson there, former Washington Husky, in your dugout. What has she been like for your program?
Yeah. That's so fun that you say that already because that is what she brings, and she knows her stuff. So I think everyone sees her and feels her energy and loves her because of that. But if you're in the office with her every day, she knows her stuff. So she's everything to us. She is someone that I hope settles in and never leaves this place. You can't ever ask that of a young coach, but I haven't left, so maybe she can stay with me forever. She's a joy and really brings something that the other three of us don't have. And she was someone that we hired after we had. So it was Paige and Courtney and I sitting there saying, "All right, what's missing here out of the three of us?" And we're like, "We need like a hype girl." And so she was top of the list. We were lucky to get her, and I think she's enjoying her time. And I can't wait. Just like I was saying about some of our athletes, the ceiling is so high for Kaya as a coach. She can pretty much do whatever she wants in this game because she's got it all. And she played pretty much everywhere on the field. So she's had experience galore to help our players, especially the young ones.
And it's probably helped you out with the defensive side in particular.
Yep, I'm handing over quite a bit of it to her, which is hard to do. With four full-time coaches, I want to have them all feel like they have a piece of it. And if I continue to own calling the pitches, and then I gave that up to Paige, running the defense, and now I'm giving that up to Coach Kai. And I think as I back out, I just get to be there to support and guide, but I really am not in charge of any one thing. I'm just overhead of the whole thing, which is a new role for me, but I wouldn't just hand it out to anybody. Kaya loves it. She's great at it, and I'm still side by side with her, but she's running the show.
Sounds like you're more of a CEO role, and a lot of coaches are doing this, not just in softball, but various sports, when they have the extra assistants to take advantage of that and be more of a delegator, and it allows them to see the program fully instead of like sometimes you're focused on one area of the program. This allows you to see the full picture. Is that kind of part of the decision too?
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not sure I love it more than what I did before. But when you have that much talent in the office within your coaching staff, I want them to have the opportunity to do what I got to do. So unselfishly, I'm stepping aside of some of those. And it's hard to keep my mouth shut sometimes, but having too many voices is actually a bad thing. You need young kids to know exactly who's going to give them the plan when it comes to defense. And, Courtney played middle and I played middle. And here we have Kaya as our defensive coach. So we all have answers as to how to do that double play, but Kaya's in charge. And they know that and they go to her. And then if Kaya feels like she wants help from us, which she asks plenty, then we're there to help her. But she's the boss when it comes to the defense.
It's a good problem to have, coach, when you've hired good coaches. That's the it's you may not like it as delegating much, but it's a good problem to have. A lot it could be worse. You know what I mean?
Hire good coaches and get out of their way. That's essentially all you do. And try to keep them, engaged. And that's the easiest way is to give them a big piece of it. Because if they're competitive, which they are, then they'll work hard. I never have to ask him to stay up later and try to be better at their job. They are already such critics of themselves, which is why this group's got um a lot of great coaches to turn to.
Let's talk a couple more things. The move to the Big 12. How has that impacted or going to impact your non-conference scheduling? Is it a small impact, no impact, big impact? Especially, certainly with BYU now in the same conference as you. You know, you've been playing them in the midweeks. Now all of a sudden, your conference rivals there. What kind of impact will that
Yeah.
have on your scheduling?
Yeah, well, this year it didn't have a huge impact because we do play BYU at their place and Arizona at their place. So really, it's only 2 weekends that are different than normal. But, next year may be completely opposite, and we may be, and I don't have it memorized, but I think that the main difference for us will be we'll play in California and Arizona during pretty much all of our preseason, stay in the West knowing that we're going to go to Big 12 country for, the latter part of the season, because that's still our recruiting base, right? We've recruited mostly West Coast kids. So if we're going to want to recruit that same area, it's best to try to keep playing in those areas. And so we'll keep doing that. This year we're doing a lot of that, staying West Coast preseason and so that they can be in front of their families. So I think we'll continue to do that. Whereas in the past, we might have traveled to a Florida in the preseason, but we'll probably not do that. We'll go play UCF for conference instead.
That's not a bad Florida trip there, or when they go up to your place. Either way, that's I know that. And listen, you West Coast is not a bad place to be playing a good non-conference. I know you get to play in Mary Nutter, which is one of the premier tournaments, so that helps you get ready for conference play.
Exactly. That's going to be a staple in our I hope, you have to kind of be invited, but that is a tournament that we've played in pretty much every year since I've been here. So a lot of going to Mary Nutter. And this year we added Fullerton and Fresno. And I mean, we're just staying that way and in Arizona. So, but next year, similar thing though, preseason West Coast as much as possible. And getting up to Hawaii, that's on the list. We've got some Hawaiians on our team. We've got 4 of them now. So getting them where they belong out in front of their family would be great. So,
Yeah,
but
that's right. You've been one in the past to try to get your players back home to at least play a game at home if it is feasibly possible there. Talk about that and how much that you mean that's a big deal to you to get your players to at least try to play a home game.
exactly. It's always been a big deal to me. But, who doesn't want to go to Hawaii? So I'm pretty sure everyone would be willing to sacrifice that for our Hawaiians. But yeah, I actually had a thing where I allow our senior class to help me decide one of our preseason tournaments so that they can have a choice in, maybe where they would want to play, a part of the country they've not seen or a certain state that they want to play in or a campus that they haven't played on in their whole career. So if at all possible, sometimes I have to narrow it down, but we've played in some really fun places because of a senior choice. We've played out in the DC area. They'll pick an area and then I have to decide which, teams to play. One group wanted to play in New Orleans, or go to New Orleans on an off day. So we went ahead and played at McNeese and we went to LSU. So, yeah, so we'll still hopefully do something like that, but a lot of them are getting to play near home a lot because home is Arizona or California. So, but yeah, we'll get out to Hawaii for those kids. Haley Dieter transferred. She's from way back east, so I don't know if we'll get out there to play, but we'll do our best.
You try your best. You can't please. It's tough to be everywhere at once, but it'd certainly be fun. My last question: you've mentioned there's still some position battles going on as we speak, and things like that. Once the season gets going, I'm curious, what questions are you looking forward to finding out about your team that you'll find out once you play other competition that you think will help determine how this season.
Their competitiveness. That's the thing I'm the most curious about right now with them. I'm trying to figure out how competitive they are because there's some kids that are competitive at practice, some are competitive in the weight room, some really compete hard, in the classroom even, but you don't get to see that. I want to see if they're competitive in games. If we have new pitching and we may give up more runs than we're used to, or maybe even play from behind a little bit, I want to know what their fight looks like. I want to know what their competitive is looks like. And I have no idea right now. But I do think it's going to be the X factor in this group because talent-wise, we've got some of the pieces. But it doesn't matter how talented if you are if you don't have that competitive piece or that willingness to not have any quit in you. And I actually been running off of a machine so far, but scrimmages where the offense is behind by 4 to start the game. And because I do want to relieve our pitchers of some pressure of, well, if we get down by 4, we're not going to win. So you better throw a shutout like Mariah used to. And that's not fair. So I want our hitters to start to learn how to stack runners on base so that we can, when we do get that double, we got 2 or 3 people on rather than we get a double and then nothing else happens. So we've got to stack runners. We've got to score in big chunks with new pitching. That's just the name of the game. And I can't have them panic if we get down some runs. So pretty much all of January, I'm making them play like they're down runs. Well, and they should. They're on a machine. Let's get real. We know right where the pitch is going. So they should score a lot of runs, but I want to build that fight in them.
Well, we look forward to seeing that from your group. It usually tends to do that, and it'll get going pretty soon. Coach, thanks for taking the time from the busy schedule to talk to us here. We look forward to seeing you. I'm sure we'll cross paths during the season at some point, if no later than at the Big 12 Championships in Oklahoma City. In the meantime, stay healthy, and thanks for coming on here on In the Circle on D1 Softball.
You as well. Thanks, Eric. We'll talk to you later. Go Utes.